Good evening, bookies. My name is Hannah, and today we are reviewing the Lara Jean trilogy by Jenny Han. I did it, guys. I finished a book. Actually, I finished 3. I started reading To All the Boys I've Loved Before on the 30th of July. And I just barely finished Always and Forever Lara Jean, which means I can change my sign now. So it is the 21st of August when I'm recording this, but you guys will get this, obviously later on. So it took me about kind of a month to finish these books, which I know is like a long time to finish 3 books, but I've had some things happen in my life, and I'm amazed at myself that I was even able to read 3 books that quickly, considering how bad I've been at reading. But today we are going to be reviewing the series as a whole, as separate books, and just kind of going through all of them. So let's get to it. Before you start this video, I want to point out that this is not a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't read any of the books and you want to, I would stop your video and go do something else with your time, or go read the books. But it's not spoiler-free at all. So we're going to start with talking about To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and I think I have 3 things to kind of say about this book. The first thing that I remember writing down in my review, which I've got right here, is they had the boys in the story exactly the way I liked them. Unrealistic. And I'm not saying this in a bad way, it's just like they were so perfect that I feel like I'm never going to find a guy like Peter Kavinsky or Josh Sanderson ever in my life, because they were kind of adorably sweet guys. And honestly, they were adorably sweet. Peter was so cute. I loved Peter. He's probably my favorite character besides Lara Jean throughout the whole series. So on my Goodreads, in the review that I put for the first book, was something about how the whole fake boyfriend, fake girlfriend thing was kind of like a fan fiction trope. I don't read that much fan fiction, but I know enough about fan fiction tropes that if you pretend to be my fake boyfriend or my fake girlfriend or whatever, like there's almost a 99% chance that you guys are going to end up together. That's just how it works. So reading the first book and hearing what it was about, I was kind of like, it's like a fan fiction in book form, and I was here for it. There is one thing that I didn't like about this book, which it happens with a lot of books for me, but honestly, I didn't like that it was kind of a cliffhanger. It wasn't really a cliffhanger per se. Nothing really big, dramatic happened and then suddenly cut off. It's just like Peter and Lara Jean had a fight, and I was all like, no, like things had finally like come apart, and like everything was on the table and all that shit, and like the whole time I was like, you guys, like it's fine, just make up and be good friends again, like you can do it, it's fine. And when I was reading the book and it ended just without them being together, without, like, it ended with her writing a letter to Peter, not even like admitting how she feels about him, I was just kind of like, why would you do that to me? But luckily I had bought the second book by then, so I could just quickly sweep into it and continue reading. But like, say for example, I hadn't bought the second book by that point, I would have been like
traumatized.
So I'm not going to talk about the first book very long, because I don't want this video to be super long, and honestly I just want to talk about the series as a whole. So quickly we're just going to move on to the second book, P.S. I Still Love You. So in the second book we are introduced to, this is John Ambrose McLaren? Is that even his name? Interrupted by the sister. Say hi to YouTube, Addie.
Hi, YouTube.
I'm like 90% sure it's John Ambrose McLaren. I liked him. I liked him as a character. I liked him as a friend for Lara Jean's Lara. But I was kind of Team Peter the whole way. It's like a ride or die for this thing. So when John was introduced, I didn't want it to go very far. into the relationship with them. I did like the way he supported her and all this stuff, and they were good friends, and like, yeah, they did share that kiss, which I thought was cute. But other than that, I was kind of like, you can be friends with my sweet precious child, but I have another sweet precious child waiting for her. So I was the same way feeling towards Peter being friends with Jen is the same way like with Lara. I'm gonna say, why am I saying Lara? Like I want to say Larry. But I was like the same with her being friends with John as him being friends with Jen, except I feel like he should have been just a little bit more team Lara Jean.
Lara Jean. I feel like I'm Lara Jean. I'm saying it weird.
But I feel like he should have been a little bit more like, oh, well, like, you know, nothing serious is going on. But, like, throughout the book, he was kind of just like, yep, I'm hanging out with Jen. Like, can you completely trust me? I just feel like throughout the book, he could have been like, I'm going to go support her because I know she's got a big secret he wasn't able to tell her. Like, I just need you to trust me. I promise I'm definitely more on your team, and, like, show that towards her and stuff like that. But, like, sometimes it even made me suspicious about certain things when he would just, you know, go in the middle of the night hang out with her, or, like, miss the lacrosse game for her when he won't miss one in any other conditions. Oh my gosh, see, my sisters are all, like, here interrupting me. I am off and booktubing. Milia, say hi to YouTube.
Hey, YouTube. Okay.
Alright, 2 sisters down. Can we expect the other one to chime in? Probably not. So, what I really loved about P.S. I Still Love You is that it didn't have sequel sickness, which I hugely appreciated, because a lot of the books, that's the reason I can't finish series, is a lot of the books will be like, amazing, the first book, and then like, kind of dragging its feet a little bit the second book. This one wasn't like that. Like, it's not my favorite book in the series, but it wasn't like to the point that I was like, oh, I'm bored, I don't want to read this anymore. It was more like it was a good book, so honestly I can't complain about the sequel sickness. So now we're going to move on to Always and Forever Lara Jean, and then we'll briefly talk about this, and then we'll move on to the series as a whole. So I've decided, since I finished this one today, I've decided what order I like the books in best. I feel like it's a tie between 3 and 1, but 3 is just winning just a little bit more, so it might be like Always and Forever Lara Jean, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and then P.S. I Still Love You. So it's kind of in a weird mixed up order for me in terms of how much I like them. So in the front cover of this book, it says something like, Lara Jean's life is going great and all this shit, and then it's like suddenly something completely threw her life off the rails. When first reading this book and talking about how she was wanted to get into that college so her and Peter could be close, immediately I was like, she's not going to get into the college and it's going to cause drama and conflict. And then when it actually happened, I was honestly a little bit disappointed, because I feel like Jenny Han could have taken like a different turn with something, and like I feel like it's kind of, I don't want to say predictable, but like I knew that she wasn't going to get into the college, and that would have like thrown her life off whack, and honestly I feel like it could have been better. Also, throughout this book, you kind of learn a little bit more about Peter's dad, who's kind of a deadbeat dad, but he's trying to kind of reconnect with Peter and Owen and kind of be in their life again. I feel like, in all honesty, they could have kind of just cut out this whole area with him. Not because I didn't like it, but just because I feel like it was like a here and gone kind of thing, where it was like important for 1 minute, and then forgotten, but it didn't really have a huge impact on the rest of the story or the story at all. Like, yeah, it changed Peter's mood a couple times when his dad didn't show up to his graduation, but like, I don't know. I feel like either you could have involved the dad more and made it more of a conflict, or you shouldn't have involved him at all. Another thing that I really liked throughout this book is there was a lot of character growth, in my opinion. I feel like Margot grew up a lot just because she kind of knew after a couple words from Kitty and Lara why do I keep saying it, Lara Jean, that she knew that she kind of had to be a little bit more mature, but also kind of let there be more room for like someone else to also take that role. And like, so near the end of the book, she's kind of more accepting of Trina coming into their lives through marriage of her dad. I feel like Peter and Lara Jean really grew up a lot because they're not like, I feel like they were going to college, but it's like they were also adults. They were making their own choices. They were doing their own things. And I feel like their relationship grew quite a bit because they learned more things about each other and they had to adapt and like...
What is that word?
Compromise. They had a compromise for a lot of stuff. I just feel like in their relationship they really grew up and became like an actual couple, and they really had to like learn each other's flaws, adapt to each other's flaws, and just compromise on a lot of stuff throughout this book. Another thing that I liked about this book is when Lara Jean, when she got accepted into that college that she did not expect to get accepted into, and she decided to go there instead of the other school, which the school she wanted to go to, I can't remember school names, I don't know, but the school she wanted to go to was a lot farther away from Peter. I liked that she really wanted to go to this school. She knew it would cause problems with Peter and his school and his schedule, and like their life together would be completely changed. And I love that she decided that instead of giving in and going to this school, which is closer, she decided, I'm going to muscle through this. We're both going to be able to do this. If he just worked with her and she worked with him, then she knew that they'd be able to do it. And I think that's very, very inspiring in a way, just because she knew what she wanted to do, she knew what would happen, and she decided, no, I'm going to do this, we're going to work through our problems, and we're going to be able to do this together as a team. And that just made me feel like she's so much older than she probably acted or was. I can't talk today, guys. And finally, as a last note, we're talking about the series as a whole. I feel like the characters were complex and dimensional, three-dimensional characters, and they all had flaws. They all grew up, they all matured, and I feel like I kind of grew up a little bit along with them. I don't know how to really explain it, but I feel like they were just very realistic to me, their flaws and like their problems and all their reactions, because Lara Jean was awkward and she was cute, but she I feel like she worked through her problems instead of suddenly just being like, boom, problem solved. And that is all I have to say about this series. The only thing I'm going to leave you guys with is I wish I knew what could have happened or what happened after like a few years down the road when they're done with college. Did Peter and Lara Jean stay together? How is the marriage going? Did Trina actually want to have a baby or something like that? I honestly just, I don't know. I really want to know what happened afterwards. But all in all, I gave this series, I think, 5 stars out of 5 stars on Goodreads. That's just how much I love this series. It is the first contemporary series that I have finished. And honestly, I'm surprised I finished it all. I think that's all I have to say. So, thank you so much for joining me. I know I'm a little bit crazy in this video today. But thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys in the next one. Rock on. Hey guys, I'm Hannah at Heckyeahbooks, and today me and my sister, who you are going to meet in just a few seconds, we are doing the sibling